The 146th running of the Preakness Stakes gets underway later today. After some speculation, Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit has been cleared to run days after failing a post-race drug test. On Friday, officials said that the racehorse passed 3 drug tests. Medina Spirit had tested positive for the steroid betamethasone. Trainer Bob Baffert initially denied using the drug, and then he later admitted that the horse had been treated with an ointment containing the steroid days before the Derby. It is unclear at this point if Medina Spirit's Derby win will be invalidated. That all depends on whether the post-race test results are upheld.
I don't feel embarrassed. I feel like I was wronged, and we're gonna do a complete, our own investigation. We're gonna be transparent with the Racing Commission, like we've always been. We're going to show them everything. One thing about it, in California, everything is documented every day, what the horses get.
For more on this, I want to bring in Gus Garcia-Roberts. He is a sports-focused investigative reporter with the Washington Post. Gus, thanks for being here. Help us make sense of this. Are there any types of drugs that are allowed in horse racing? What do we make of this ointment? And when do things actually start crossing that line into doping?
Sure. Yeah. So there are drugs that are allowed in horse racing, but for the most part, they have to be out of the system by race day. And so this ointment was one of the lower classes of drugs that are classified by horse racing regulators, in that it was a therapeutic, and it is permitted, but it has to be, it's cautioned that you should use it 14 days before the race. That way it'll be out of the system. So this is not sort of a doping agent, but it is something that is not allowed and will get your horse disqualified on if it tests positive for it on race day. And that's the sort of positive test that Bob Baffert has had a sort of bafflingly hard time dealing with recently.
So, Gus, given that helpful context, do you think that Medina Spirit's Derby win will be upheld or will be invalidated?
So it has to go for a split sample test, which we'll get the results later this month, which is basically the second sample was tested in a lab of Baffert's choice. And most likely, judging from past positives, it will come back positive. And then I think that it's hard to predict fully, but I think the likelihood is that the disqualification will be upheld. But I'm sure Baffert will do what is in his power to fight that.
And Gus, help us understand drug use in the horse racing industry. How's it regulated? What types of drugs are abused? What needs to be changed?
Right. So a lot of people in horse racing have complained that there's basically this patchwork regulation where there's 38 different bodies regulating the 38 different states that allow horse gambling. So you have no communication between the agencies often. You have sort of toothless enforcement. So there have been people within the industry that have for years agitated for some sort of a comprehensive regulatory body. And as I wrote about recently in the Post, after kind of this wild saga in which they hired a private intelligence agency to get fellow horsemen indicted for doping, that sort of spurred on a push that was finally successful for federal legislation that would put the United States Anti-Doping Agency basically in control of doping regulation in horse racing, thoroughbred horse racing. The only issue is it doesn't go into effect until mid-2022. So as of now, we're still in the wild, wild west.
In 2020, dozens of trainers and veterinarians were indicted in a scheme that involved providing performance-enhancing drugs to race horses. And the industry has also been plagued by other allegations of abuse. According to commercial horse racing organization, the Jockey Club, 493 racehorses suffered fatal injuries in 2018. What do you believe the future of the industry looks like in light of these recent scandals?
Right, and Jockey Club is one of those elite sort of horse racing bodies that have pushed for reform, because I think that they see that there's an existential threat on multiple fronts to horse racing. There's been high-profile horse deaths, lots of doping or drug scandals, and these indictments, which the Jockey Club played a role in getting, and of course the biggest issue in any industry, dwindling revenue, right? Less casual people are sort of interested in horse racing. So I think that there are people within the industry and groups within the industry that think there has to be a sort of sea change in the industry in order to make it more viable. It's going to sort of fade into the sunset.
All right, Gus Garcia-Roberts, thank you.
Thank you.